Somewhere in your kitchen tonight, there's a carton of milk you'll pour without a second thought. It came from a cow. Completely unremarkable, completely normal. At almost the exact same moment, somewhere else on Earth, a lioness is nursing her cubs. Her milk is thick, dense, almost the texture of cream. You will never taste it. Not because it's illegal, not because it's disgusting, because there's a real chance your body wouldn't survive drinking it. Most people assume milk is basically one substance, just packaged differently depending on the animal. That assumption is almost completely wrong. Milk isn't a generic liquid. It's closer to a chemical instruction manual written by evolution for one specific baby, of one specific species, facing one specific set of survival problems. And predator milk was never written with you in mind. Scientists who study this across species call it comparative lactation, and decades of research comparing milk from over 100 different animals reveals something that should genuinely change how you think about that carton in your fridge. Start with something simple: fat content. Cow milk sits at roughly 4% fat, light, easy, unremarkable. Lion milk runs closer to 10%. Seal milk can reach as high as 50% fat. 50. At that point, it isn't really milk anymore in any familiar sense. It's closer to whipped butter in liquid form. There's a reason for that extremity. A baby seal has roughly 30 days, sometimes fewer, to build enough blubber to survive freezing ocean water. There's no time for gradual growth. So the mother's body doesn't produce food in any conventional sense. It produces something closer to concentrated fuel. That pup can double its entire body weight in under 2 weeks. No human infant does anything close to that, ever. Now imagine drinking that same liquid tonight. Your digestive system isn't built to process a 50% fat beverage. It's calibrated for something closer to 4%. Your body would revolt before you finished the glass. Fat is only the surface layer. Predator milk is engineered differently at a molecular level entirely. Consider a wolf pup, born blind, deaf, and almost completely defenseless. For its first several weeks of life, it has virtually no functioning immune system of its own, so the mother's milk has to do that job for her. Wolf and lion milk both carry unusually high concentrations of immune proteins, compounds like lysozyme and immunoglobulins, essentially pre-built defense molecules delivered in liquid form. It isn't just nutrition, it's a temporary borrowed immune system. Your body already runs its own immune system. It has no use for someone else's defense code flooding into your bloodstream, and the differences go even further, down to sugar content. Human milk and cow milk are both relatively high in lactose because lactose is a fast, efficient fuel source for a rapidly growing brain. And a human infant's brain roughly triples in size within its first year. It needs that sugar. True predator milk, by contrast, tends to run low in lactose because carnivore metabolism, even from birth, is built around processing protein and fat for energy, not sugar. The milk simply matches the metabolism it was designed to fuel. Hand a human that low-sugar, high-fat, immune-loaded liquid, and you're not giving your body what it expects. You're handing it a formula built for an entirely different biological system. Part of the reason predator milk never became a food source is simply practical. You cannot milk a lioness. But even setting that obstacle aside, there's a deeper structural reason it was never going to happen. Every single animal humans have ever domesticated for dairy shares one trait in common: they're herbivores. Cows, goats, sheep, camels, water buffalo, yaks, every one of them eats plants, produces large volumes of milk, and can be managed safely in groups. Predators don't fit that pattern at all. A lioness produces a small amount of milk for a small number of cubs and would kill anyone attempting to get near her udder. There has never been a domesticated predator dairy animal anywhere in human history, not one. That isn't an accident. It's a filter built jointly by evolution and plain practicality. There's something even stranger buried underneath this. Picture early humans tens of thousands of years ago watching a wolf den from a distance. They saw the pups. They saw the mother. At no point did instinct suggest drinking what she produced. Long before science could explain why, instinct had already reached the correct conclusion that milk was never meant for them. Instead, those same early humans eventually turned towards slower, more manageable grazing animals. That single choice made thousands of years ago quietly shaped the entire food system you're still living inside today. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. Most adult humans on Earth cannot properly digest milk at all. Not predator milk, ordinary cow milk. Roughly 65% of the global adult population is lactose intolerant. Let that sit for a moment. The majority of humanity already struggles to digest the safe herbivore, low-fat option. So why can some people drink milk their entire lives without any issue? It comes down to a specific genetic mutation. Research into lactase persistence has traced the origin back 7,000 to 9,000 years to populations connected to early cattle herding cultures across Europe and parts of Africa. A mutation appeared that allowed some adults to keep producing lactase, the enzyme responsible for breaking down milk sugar, well past infancy. Before that mutation existed, no adult human anywhere on Earth could comfortably drink milk, not even cow milk. Infants could, adults could not. That was the ancestral default setting for every human being who has ever lived. The ability to drink milk as an adult isn't the baseline human condition. It's a relatively recent genetic upgrade, one that only spread through populations that happen to live alongside dairy animals. So every glass poured tonight is quietly evidence of a mutation. Now bring predator milk back into that picture. If most humans already struggle with something as mild as cow milk, a liquid engineered for a 30-day blubber sprint, or a brain wired to run on fat and protein instead of sugar, wouldn't register as milk at all. It would land in your system as an entirely foreign substance. Digestion isn't even the only problem. There's a second risk buried inside predator milk that almost nobody considers: concentration. Because predators sit at the top of the food chain, everything they consume, including toxins, heavy metals, and environmental pollutants, becomes concentrated in their bodies over time. A herbivore eats plants directly from the ground. A predator eats animals that ate plants that grew from that same ground. At each step up that chain, concentrations of certain compounds increase. Scientists call this biomagnification, and fat-rich tissue, exactly the kind of tissue milk is made from, happens to be precisely where those compounds tend to accumulate. So predator milk isn't just nutritionally foreign to a human body. In some cases, it could be delivering a lifetime's worth of concentrated environmental toxins directly into a liquid you'd be expected to drink. It's one more filter nature quietly built in, long before anyone understood the chemistry behind why. Here's the part almost nobody stops to consider. Milk was never a universal liquid. It's a message, one that every species writes differently based on how quickly its offspring needs to grow, how helpless it is at birth, and what specific threats it needs to survive. A seal pup needs blubber within weeks, so its milk is written entirely around fat. A wolf pup needs defense before it can defend itself, so its milk carries borrowed immunity. A human infant needs a rapidly expanding brain, so its milk is built around sugar. And you have spent your entire life drinking a message that was written for a calf. Most people never think about it twice. Milk gets treated like one single neutral thing. It isn't. It's thousands of distinct biological instructions, each one locked to a specific species, a specific survival strategy, a specific evolutionary moment. You drink the instructions meant for a calf, and your body, thanks to a fairly recent mutation, mostly accepts them. Try the instructions written for a lion cub, and your body would reject them almost immediately. So the next time that carton sits in your fridge, it's worth looking at differently. It was never neutral, and it was never universal. It's leftover code, written millions of years ago for an animal that was never you, while somewhere else right now, a lion cub is drinking code written just as precisely for it. Two glasses, two completely different messages, both quietly saying the exact same thing. Grow, survive, become what you were built to be. This has been the Reasonary, where curiosity meets clarity,